Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, Team Mosso at the1916company.com for purchase pricing and availability questions concerning this watch. Do you know what this is? It's not a watch, it's a weapon for ending the debate. If you want the most distinguished and dignified dress watch in any company, with any crowd, under any circumstances, this late 1990s 38mm yellow gold Zenith El Primero Chronograph will do it. Your buddy with the Patek Philippe $24.99 bought at auction? Some dude with a Rolex 6239 Paul Newman? Maybe someone who successfully bid on an FP Journe at Only Watch and brought it to the party. Every single one of them will tip their cap and deliver a knowing nod, not just of approval, but of envy when you break this out. This is as good as it gets in the dress watch realm. For detail, design, proportion, watchmaking and engineering, it all comes together. This is the Zenith that Zenith people love. 38mm in diameter, it's 12.5mm thick from lug tip to lug tip, 45.7mm with the 19mm spacing between the lugs. A quick note on this watch, though it is late 90s, you can see the timepiece features a luminova dial, so it will glow in the modern sense. Taking a quick look at the dial side now, throwing it on the wrist, you can see the size of it on a 16cm wrist. The strap has not been broken in, so it's a little bit stiff. As it softens up, it will permit a less constrained wrist aesthetic. The watch is thin enough to easily slide under a cuff, and you can see from lug to lug it's very short across the wrist, so I can recommend it, especially once the strap is broken in, for a wrist as small as 13.5 centimeters circumference. The watch is comfortable and the strap is substantial. It's a Jean Rousseau, and this is the OEM strap supplier for De Bethune and FP Journe. Coincidence? I think not. We wanted this watch dressed to impress because, frankly, the strap finishes the look, but this watch gets her right up to the 1 yard line. Taking a quick look at the strap itself, it's an unusual combination of small, medium, and large rectangular scale alligator leather. Gloss, you can see it is a very, very, very dark brown, and rest assured it is brown. We've got a side that's sheer cut and lacquered for refinement. On the bottom, calfskin. You can see gator on top, calfskin on the bottom, and we've got a matching period Zenith buckle. You can see the older 1990 style Zenith logo right there. You'll find it again on the crown as well as on the rotor itself. Now this is a lovely looking piece. You could see that it has the caliber 400Z. That change happened right around 1998, and of course you could see it doesn't feature the genetic oddities that began to emerge with the Terry Nataf era in the early 2000s. So it was a precious moment in time between the arrival of a watch of this standard with the 400Z movement and the beginning of the troubles at Zenith. So this is a bit of a survivor from a very different era of restraint in Zenith design. The case is simple but elegant and timeless. You can see blended lugs. We have a little bit of a soft bevel on the edge of each lug. We have vintage-inspired oblong oval pushers. You can see we've got a multi-flange bezel with several steps to visually thin the watch. The case back itself is domed and roughly symmetrical to the dial side. It'll actually sit lower on the wrist than its measured thickness. You can see how the reference numbers right on the back, and Zenith reference numbers always include the, at least in the modern era since the 70s, include the movement reference. So there's 400 and this is a 400Z. 30 meters water resistant, please don't swim with it, but it is designed for splashes or rain exposure should it happen by accident. We've got a cambered crystal over a dial that is likewise cambered and domed. Outboard, the tachymetric scale is printed in blue, which makes for a nice complementary color. We have a lot of yellow gold on this dial, and you can see that, for example, chronoseconds and the minute hand have been rolled on tiny rolling pins so that when viewed from head on, they don't appear to be curved. And they also follow the contour of the dial, which features applique gold Roman numerals, including a quirky watchmaker's 4, and we have indices at 3 and 9 o'clock. Taking a look at the center dial, you can see very simple 3 registers, symmetrically oriented, no overlap, polished chapterings, azurage concentric pattern internally. We got the typical El Primero 430 date, and of course the typical El Primero weird setting, which means that in the intermediate position where most movements set their date, you're actually setting the time. Of course, hacking's not a feature of most El Primeros. Then you pull it out all the way, and you can see I'm able to actuate the quick set system for the date. Okay. Other things that are important. Well, a big one is that Zenith did its level best to match the fonts on this dial. So you can see that's 6 and that's 6 and that 6, they got them as close as they could. A lot of brands overlook that. Sunburst metallic silver from the center. And by the way, this movement, an all-time great since 1969. The El Primero was one of the very first, really the first 3 automatic winding chronographs. They pretty much came out at the same time, separated only by a few months. But what's important is that the Zenith went beyond Seiko, and it went beyond the Hamilton, Buren, Breitling conglomerate, the collective effort. This was the first high-beat integrated automatic chronograph, so 36,000 vibrations per hour, 10 beats per second, allowing the chronograph to resolve an interval as small as 1/10 of a second. It has a super crisp column wheel, and I mean super duper crisp. There it is right there. It's the definition of chronograph feel. A case study for anyone designing a chronograph going forward. Lateral clutch, which is beautiful. We have polished screws as well as blued screws here, and they do have different functions. So in general, here you can see we've got polished and blued screws. They mean different things to the watchmaker in terms of fixing parts in place or adjusting them. And as you can see, the El Primero, despite being a automatic chronograph, is actually a pretty good looking piece. Automatic chronographs are not always handsome. This one is. It's bidirectional winder. It's got a 52-hour power reserve. The quickset, though not hacking. You can see the use of KIF shock protection, which is sort of a boutique-y alternative to the more common Inca block. We've got a conventional curb pin regulator and then a eccentric screw micrometric adjuster. And although the finishing is utilitarian, the movement is so inherently attractive architecturally, I don't think anyone could really gripe. This is a rare opportunity. I've seen maybe 2 of these, one in 40 millimeter, one in 38 millimeter, one with a black dial, this one with silver, since I've been doing this. So if you want an opportunity like few others to buy a watch that's every inch as impressive as something like a Vacheron 4172 or a Patek Philippe 5070, and actually will win equal respect from the people who wear those kind of watches, this is the can't go wrong answer to that question. So reach out to Team Mosso at the 1916company.com for purchase and pricing details.